The 50s and 60s were a great period for car enthusiasts. American car firms were showing off these wild concept cars at different events, promising a future full of innovation. Even though most of these vehicles never hit the roads, they sparked some cool ideas that influenced the cars we drive today. That's the reason we are looking at 15 eye-catching concept cars from back then. Before we buckle up, make sure to like and subscribe if you love cars. 15. Alfa Romeo Bat Cars, 1953 to 1955. Inspired by the popular Bertone design studio in the early 1950s, Alfa Romeo produced a series of revolutionary cars called the Berlinetta Aerodinamica Tecnica. The first car, Bat 5, with its beautiful shape, long fins, and smooth body, wowed the audience. The aerodynamic features of this vehicle were way ahead of its time, setting new standards in car design. The coming year, Alfa Romeo showed Bat 7, which was designed by redefining the aerodynamical features with added smoother lines and more elegant style. A bit later, in 1955, Bat 9 was added as their third concept car. 14. Pontiac Club de Mer, 1956. Pontiac Club de Mer was unveiled at the General Motors Motorama in 1956. This roadster had a monocoque design made of stainless steel, which was one of the factors that made it different from the other vehicles. Pontiac Club de Mer, with its smooth body panels and aviation-like appearance, owned an aura of luxury and class. The aerodynamic design of this vehicle was crafted to improve performance and efficiency, but using LED headlamps and an air fin improved the car's overall appeal. However, the Pontiac Club de Mer's dream of existence was never fulfilled, as General Motors canceled the project in 1958. 13. XP74 Cadillac Cyclone, 1959 to 1960. The design of the Cadillac Cyclone was beyond the world. It was a bubble-shaped top that was so futuristic, I guess you could call it the Jetsons. This transparent roof with the visibility of the countryside provided the driver and the passenger with a perfect view while keeping them safe in the car. But one of the major surprises that the Cadillac Cyclone brought forth probably was its self-driving system. The car could have driven by itself, showing us a glimpse of the future in transportation, which is all around us now. 12. Buick Centurion, 1956. The Buick Centurion brand, released in 1956, was one of the most amazing sports sedans of that time. It could fit in 4 people and had a rocket-like look that emitted their spirit. The vehicle was a brainchild of young designers who decided to look away from traditional car designs and move towards something different. But it wasn't just about looks. The most remarkable aspect of this vehicle was the camera that was installed in the car's body. It had great resolution and was able to rotate 180 degrees. With the future-oriented features which dominated marketing of the Buick Centurion, it was not surprising that it generated strong demand in the market. 11. Chrysler Dart Diablo, 1956 to 1957. Chrysler Dart Diablo, which was made by both Ghia and Chrysler, is one of the greatest concept cars ever built during that era. The car was built on a 1956 Chrysler 300 chassis and had a tiny chrome grille that made its front end look like a ribbon of light. In 1957, Ghia not only added some major modifications to the Dart, but also transformed it into the Dart Diablo. They changed the retractable hardtop to a tailtop and made the tail fins a little smaller. The new Dart Diablo made its first appearance at the 1958 Chicago Auto Show and reportedly sold at an auction for a price of $1.4 million when it hit the market last time in 2013. This just confirms how people still adore and admire this iconic beauty. 10. GM LeSabre, 1951. Classic 50s. American cars were characterized by their size, and the 1951 GM LeSabre complemented that tradition. It was exactly like a real aircraft and was designed like a fighter jet. It looks similar to F-86 Sabre, with the front-end grille being one of its key features. Even though it had the latest appearance of a sports car, LeSabre was for the regular car owners. It came with a big and powerful V8 engine with 335 horsepower and 381 pound-foot torque too, which was more than enough for the car's size. 9. Chrysler turbine car, 1963. Chrysler turbine looked like regular cars, with smooth lines connecting the front and back, and taillights that looked like they came straight out of a jet engine. But the real star of the show was its gas turbine engine, which was quite different from the normal car engines. Even though Chrysler turbine had issues with using a lot of fuel and needing complicated maintenance, it showed how alternative propulsion systems could work in other cars as well. 8. Oldsmobile Golden Rocket, 1956. The 56 Golden Rocket Oldsmobile was meant to bring together the space race and the jet age. This was a smaller experimental car, which devoted its attention to aerodynamics. A rocket-shaped rear bumper with two silver domes on each side made the car look like a bullet. The fin shape on its tail was like a chameleon, and the fin form at its front was a wild triangular one. The Golden Rocket was equipped with a 324 cubic inches V8 engine, supplying the power of 275 horsepower. 7. Ford La Tosca, 1954. Just like the Lincoln Futura and the GM LeSabre, La Tosca follows the big and bold full-size trend that was popular in the US at the time. But what sets it apart are the countless unique design ideas that make it truly one of a kind. The vehicle had fresh take on tail fins, giving it a super striking appearance. Also, the massive front grille looks like shark teeth, giving it an aggressive vibe. Even the reversing lights were made to look like fighter jet tubes. And guess what? You could actually drive this car with a remote control. 6. Chrysler Turboflight, 1961. Chrysler Turboflight is a concept car from the 60s, whose sleek body and aerodynamic shape are all about that space-age aesthetic. The glass bubble canopy automatically pops up when you open the door. On the other hand, the front of the vehicle is all about optimizing airflow, and those vertical tail fins that connect to make a rear wing also helps in the performance of the car. Well, it's also got a gas turbine engine that shows just how ahead of its time this car was. 5. GM Firebird 2, 1956. No doubt, the 56 GM Firebird 2 was one of the best concept cars of the 1950s. It raised the bar with its body and a turbine engine that could run on different fuels. The car had a guidance system that could follow an electronic wire in the road. Not only this, but it had other features like a vertical center wing, just like the ones on space shuttles. It was also the very first GM car to have brake discs on all four wheels and independent suspension. 4. Chevrolet Corvette EX52, 1953. When it comes to influential American cars, the Chevrolet Corvette is always at the top of the list. While most American cars were getting bigger, the first ever concept car of Chevrolet became popular of its classy design inspired by the 1930s and 1940s. EX52 has some really cool features. One of the best things about it is its small and stylish European-inspired look. And check out the back of the car. It's got these circular taillights on the tail fins. Meanwhile, the panoramic windshield not only makes it look even better, but it also makes it easier to get in and out of. 3. Ford Nucleon, 1957. Ford Nucleon introduced an unbelievable concept of using a small nuclear reactor to power the car, which allowed the vehicle to travel up to 5,000 miles without stopping. The design of this vehicle was not normal, but it had some mind-boggling features, such as small nuclear reactors, to demonstrate the real potential of nuclear engines in future cars. And also, it was almost as long as the McLaren Speedtail, but not as tall as the latest Ford GT road car. 2. Lincoln Futura, 1954. So, Lincoln came out with a big old car that really showed off what the car company was capable of and where they thought car design was headed. Interestingly, the guy who designed this vehicle got the idea after going diving with sharks. Doesn't that sound cool? Well, the Lincoln Futura had some crazy tail fins with sharp edges. One of the coolest things about this car was the glass roof that appeared like a big panoramic dome. Under the hood, Futura had a powerful V8 engine that pumped out 300 horsepower and 402 pound-feet of torque. But the most surprising thing about this car was when it became the Batmobile in the 1966 Batman TV show. That's interesting, right? 1. Ford Seattle IT 21, 1963. Ford debuted Seattle IT 21 at 1962. World Fair in New York City, where the primary idea behind this design was to bring back old-school nostalgia. Still, the fact that this vehicle was fully equipped on the inside made it very special. The cabin and engine were filled with all kinds of futuristic high-tech gadgets. It had 4 wheels in front, and thanks to those impressive technologies, you could even drive the car with only your tiny fingertips. It also had a travel programming computer. How cool is that? Well, the Seattle 21 was like a tech lover's dream, with fingertip steering and all that jazz. So, what's your favorite concept car? Let us know in the comments. These concepts were truly amazing, but were never really produced. You'd be quite disappointed to see some cars that were given the green flag for production. Find out the 10 worst muscle cars ever made.